everyone. Welcome to today's Foundation free webcast series. My name is Patrick Smith. I'm a regional sales manager over here at Foundation. And today we are going to take a brief look at our new project management platform, Project HQ. I appreciate everybody sitting in today. This will be a pretty general overview, figure 20 minutes, maybe 30 minutes, won't keep you too long. More or less an overview of what Project HQ is designed to do and may help your company. So again, my name is Patrick. I'm going to take you through a little overview today. There is a little chat section over in the GoToWebinar control panel. So if there's any kind of questions, you can just kind of fire them into that chat section, and I will address those toward the end of the presentation if we have not covered them during the presentation. So feel free to get those questions over to the panel, and then we'll take those on a case by case. So again, I appreciate everybody's time. We're going to dive into this thing. So a lot of you may know, I'm going to bring up the Foundation software main menu real quick here. A lot of you may know that in Foundation, we do have a project management module. So this module, pretty solid, does a good job tracking RFIs, tracking submittals. We've had it out for a number of years now, and plenty of clients that use it. Again, does a pretty good job keeping those documents in order and whatnot. But over the past few years, we've really gotten a ton of requests for mobile project management, tablets, phones. You know, this module here, pretty limited. You've got to log into the accounting program to use it, eating up those accounting licenses. You know, granted, you could set security here, but nobody really wants these PMs to be in the accounting side of things. So that really sparked us to go the Project HQ route, to have an alternative, an integrated project management platform that doesn't require an accounting login, that is accessible by way of tablets and phones and laptops and PCs even as well. So with that in mind, I'm going to pop over to the HQ side, and this is really the route that we're going. So project management, like I'd mentioned, huge demand for mobile. Everybody's on the go these days. Everybody's out in the field. And the beauty of this is it is integrated with our accounting software. So this isn't a standalone platform that we developed outside of the accounting system. This is fully integrated with Foundation, meaning if I set up a job in Foundation, it can sync with Project HQ. If I enter a change order in Project HQ, it's going to sync with Foundation without going through any type of export-import process or third-party custom development. This, again, 100% integrated with the accounting system. So that in mind, we'll start with a general broad overview of what Project HQ is designed to accomplish, and then we'll go through a few details as well. So the gist here, I'm a project manager. I log into Project HQ, and I start with a summary little dashboard. It's going to tell me how many projects I'm currently managing. It's going to tell me if I have any documents that are overdue in the way of RFIs, change orders, purchase orders, submittals. I can see what's upcoming that's going to be overdue. I can also see those that I've recently accessed. So again, just a little snapshot. They can get a visual on what's floating around out there that needs to be addressed. We also have a scheduling component, and I'm going to circle back to that here in a little bit. But the scheduling component is a resource allocator. So it allows the project manager to assign tasks to the job, allocate resources, assign employees to that task, assign heavy equipment to that task for the civil contractors of the world. So the scheduling component built in here just to see what's active that day, who's on jobs, what tasks they're performing. If I scroll down a bit further, we also track action items. Think of this as your to-do list. So in this case, I've got a couple action items. I need to check on a request for change status. I need to approve an RFC. Now, these could be my action items, my to-do list. You could also see the to-do list for your team. So maybe the project manager assigns a task to an assistant project manager. Brandon, you need to go schedule a meeting. So that goes to Michael's to-do list. But as the project manager, the one that scheduled that action item, I can see that as well. And then you can see a little card here for weather conditions. We do have an automatic weather capture. So anybody that's performing work outdoors, you can set these weather captures to pull the weather conditions based on scheduled times. So maybe like an 8 o'clock, a noon, a 12 o'clock, and it would just auto-populate the weather logs. So the dashboard, little snapshot. The tabs across the side here, if I go to projects, that allows me to see all of my active projects as well as those that might be inactive. If I switch tabs here, I don't have any inactive. All of my jobs you can see are active. Schedule, again, I'm going to circle back to that. Contacts, this is a master list of contacts. Companies, people, all contacts, and these can be sorted, these can be filtered. So, sorting by city, sorting by state, by name, alphabetized, and so on. Easy enough to find respective contacts. Now the reports, this is the big one here. This is where you would go to dig up all of your logs and any other status reports. You can see if I scroll down here. Now, some of these are available within Foundation. If I create a change order within Project HQ, it's going to feed into Foundation. I can run a change order log here. I can run it in Foundation. Just two ways to see the same numbers. Same thing with committed costs, is issuing purchase orders, issuing subcontracts through here. Those feed into Foundation. We can run reports here or there, doesn't matter. Now, things that are somewhat exclusive to Project HQ, those logs would reside here. So that would be punch lists, that would be requests for change orders, RFIs, schedules with the whole resource allocation in mind, submittals. So any of those logs, those can be accessed by way of Project HQ. Now, like I mentioned, this could be a phone, this could be a tablet, could be a laptop, anything with an internet connection. So if I want to run my daily log summary as an example, I can click the daily log summary. We can include everything, meaning labor and equipment and so on, or you can pick and choose. Otherwise, if I go ahead and include everything, let's run that report. This is going to show us a daily log summary for that job. You can see it's pretty clean, it's graphical, easy to read. Here's my log summary for October 5th for my Hopkins Airport job. I've got equipment that I used that day. I've got labor that fed in. Now, keep in mind, for anybody out there that uses Foundation Mobile for the timekeeping, in conjunction with the Foundation accounting program, all of this data syncs up. So when those mobile time cards are submitted, they're feeding into Foundation. And then as a result, these labor logs are populated, meaning nobody here on the project management side needs to manually populate labor logs. Those are feeding in by way of those time card hours. And you'll see here, I've got some notes for this job. I've got those weather conditions. If I go to the next page of this log, I've got some photos that I've uploaded by way of Project HQ as well. So you all get the idea. It'll just get all that data, summarize it into that daily log. Now, going back to the home screen here, the navigation pretty cut and dried. If I'm looking to explore one of these jobs a little bit further, so right off of my dashboard, I can tap or click into that respective job, and now we're really getting into the guts of Project HQ. So on this dashboard, and I'm going to get to a date where I've got some data, so bear with me. On the dashboard here, we can see those log entries, delay logs, equipment, labor. Again, just to reiterate, the labor, the equipment, those can populate by way of Foundation Mobile, feeds into Foundation, populates these reports, these logs. Now things like notes and visitor logs, the weather is automated, those would be entered directly into Project HQ. Same thing with photos. So if I pop into my photo account here, that tells me, all right, you've got 3 photos that you've uploaded to this job. If there's any kind of notes you want to throw in on those photos, you could do that as well. So the dashboard here, that will give a quick snapshot of those log entries and the schedule for that particular job. Now, if I go to this Work Management tab, Work Management, that's where you can access various information related to this job. Here's those action items. So I've got my action items, I've got my team action items. The action items here, these are specific to this job. The dashboard that we saw at the very beginning, kind of that overall home screen, that would show action items for all of your jobs. So when you get into these job-specific dashboards, of course, these are only showing activity and information for that particular job that we clicked or tapped into. Documents. This is one of the main things that Project HQ is designed to help with. So you can see here I've got RFIs, I've got submittals, a couple of standard documents that are just built into Project HQ by default. We also have user-defined documents. So if there's anything that a user wants to track that maybe doesn't exist as a standard document, those can be built. Your trainer would help you do this for anybody that decides to add this product. You can see I've got examples, blueprints and miscellaneous documents and shop drawings. So just kind of a free form, if there's something you want to create, user-defined in addition to those standard documents. Now with those standard documents in mind, if I tap into my RFI count, as an example, here's my 5 RFIs. I've got the title or the description. I've got who the RFI was sent to. When's it due? What's the status? Now, if I click or tap into any of these specific RFIs, we're getting into the detail of that RFI itself, the title, the reason for the RFI, the date that it was created, the date that you need a response. What's the question on this RFI? Is it going to impact the cost? Is it going to impact the schedule of this job? You can see who it was sent from, who it was sent to. So the RFI itself, that can be customized. You can include your company logo. You can design with different fonts and whatnot. So users have the, don't get me wrong, we'll provide canned RFIs and different documents. If you like the way ours look, you can certainly use them, just kind of roll with our standard templates. Or for anybody out there that wants to create their own documents, we can do that as well. So it's really just a matter of case by case. We'd set this up based on user preference. You can see here, mine is not picking up my template for some reason. Let me see if I can go ahead and refresh this and see if I can get you all a visual here. And there's probably something goofed up with that template. So we're going to, there we go. All right, so we've got the logo, we've got the different fonts and whatnot. So again, our template's pretty solid, professional looking, but again, to tweak these and have a little bit more flexibility, very doable. Now, jumping back to that RFI entry here. So we've got correspondence, any kind of activity that you'd like to document in relation to that RFI, like a phone call, a fax, some type of delivery. These are all there for users that truly want to log all of this correspondence, to have all of this documented against that particular RFI, or submittal, change order, whatever happens to be. Now, with that in mind, email, we do have email tracking within Project HQ. So emails can be launched through HQ, either by way of our internal email app or by way of existing email app like Microsoft Outlook, for example. So the email can be launched through here. It would send out and then track that as a sent item. So all of these emails are centralized. They're logged within the system without having to jump through hoops to go find a copy of that email. It would be embedded here against that particular document. So whether it's an RFI, a submittal, it's pretty consistent. If I jump over to my cost management, change orders, requests for change order, again, very consistent on the entry screens, the look and feel. So if I dig into my request for change order count, for example, you can see I've got one in here. Same thing, who it was sent to, when is it due, what's the status. Now, change order requests can be converted to formal change orders. So instead of re-entering all that data, convert it, it would populate the change order. And then once that change order is submitted into Foundation, now it's updating the contract value, the budget, updates the WIP, updates the percent complete as a result. So with the integration in mind, all of this data feeds in from HQ to Foundation without exports, imports, or manually keying that data in. Commitments, same concept. Purchase orders can be issued through here. Subcontract agreements can be issued through here. Again, fed directly into Foundation. Now, collaboration, you see this last tab here. We talked a bit about the mailbox with the email tracking. So rather than going into the individual RFI to see those emails, the individual change order to see those emails, you can just come over to this mailbox. You can see all the emails related to this job. And then if you were to click any of these tabs here, hey, let me see emails just for RFIs, you could do that as well. So kind of pop around to these different components here, or just go all emails. That's going to show you everything for that particular job. So the mailbox tracking, all the emails, we can feed these in. From a file sharing standpoint, we do have an integration with Dropbox, with Google Drive, with Microsoft OneDrive. So that's kind of how we started. When we created Project HQ, this is going a couple years back, we just kind of went the route of, hey, let's piggyback off of a Dropbox or a OneDrive or a Google Drive to have an easy way to upload and download files. We do get a lot of requests for internal file storage. So presently, we kind of go this route, with a Dropbox type environment, but speccing out internal file storage, we'll have that at some point, probably a little bit down the road, maybe later this year, sometime into next year. Just so you don't have to use a third party like a Dropbox. It was an easy way to program it, kind of temporarily, and then we expand from there. So a little bit more on the option side of things, although you'd still be able to use this for anybody that wants to stick with a Dropbox type environment. Okay, so very much a crash course on Project HQ. You get the idea, you get the gist. It's all there for document management, document control. Now, there are two other components that are built into the HQSuite. One is the scheduling component. So we call this Crew HQ, and Crew HQ is really designed for two main things: to track tasks on a job and to allocate resources. And this can be viewed on a daily basis, 3-day, weekly, monthly, quarterly. So if I pull up, let's say that I want to see my schedule for a particular day. So I pull up that day, and let's see here. Okay, so it'll default to today's date. I just backed into a date that I've got some data. So this will give you a little visual. Okay, here's all your active jobs, and then here's the tasks that you have scheduled for those specific jobs. So if you look here on mobilization for job number 1, I've got that scheduled from 1 to 4 o'clock in the afternoon. Hopkins Airport, I'm doing clearing in the morning. Interstate 79, site prep in the afternoon. So just kind of random examples here. You'd be able to see all the tasks for each active job. Now, if I tap or click into this mobilization task as an example, this is where we can get into a little bit more detail. So for mobilization as an example, if I go to this resources tab, this allows me to allocate resources. I can assign employees, I can assign equipment items. So in this example, I've already got Jennifer and Greg scheduled for mobilization along with an F-350. If I want to add another employee, let's go ahead and add Michael. It gives us a schedule conflict. Michael's already scheduled on that Harrison Street Bridge. You're not allowed to schedule him on this job. So this checks and balances, making sure that you're not double booking Michael 2 jobs on the same day at the same time. So with the resource allocation in mind, you can switch the view here. Right now, we're looking at the projects view, which shows us the tasks for each project that are scheduled. If I change this to employees, now we're seeing each one of those employees. Here's Jennifer on that mobilization. Here's Greg on that mobilization. So you can see visually each employee and what they have scheduled, what they have going on that day or that week, that month. We can do the same thing with equipment items. So this allows for a visual on, for anybody that's running heavy equipment, what's this dozer scheduled for? What's this excavator scheduled to do? So same thing as the employee resources. You can get a visual on where all those equipment items are scheduled for. So one last thing to point out here, on the employee schedule, there is a notification where the employees can be notified by either email or text where to go and what to do. So once that schedule is built out, they can receive that text message. Hey, Jennifer, you're going to job number 1, doing mobilization starting at 1 o'clock. Jennifer would receive that email or that text depending on user preference. Okay, so we've got Project HQ, which is really there for the document management. We've got Crew HQ, which is the scheduling component. And then the third component here is what we call Executive HQ. So Executive HQ, that is a reporting app. It's a dashboard that project managers can access to see a snapshot of all their jobs as a whole, and then drill down into those individual jobs as needed. So again, I'm a project manager. I can see the contract values for all of my jobs. I can see what's been billed out. I can see estimated cost versus actual cost. We can see each job individually. You can see this little mini WIP schedule down here at the bottom. Now, if there's a job that I want to dig into a little bit further, I click that job number, and that's going to drill down into a summary of that particular job. And with this being live data, this is all pulling from the Foundation database by way of those accounting entries. So if I see that, okay, for this job, Lake County Trust Rebuild, I've got all these different cost codes that break down my budget versus my actual. If I'm looking at this earthwork cost code and I've got $139,000 in cost against my $35,000 budget, something's going haywire here. If we click into or tap that earthwork cost code, now it's drilling down and it's going to show us all of those transactions that account for that 139. I might have some labor that fed in from the payroll module in Foundation. I've got some material transactions that came out of accounts payable, some subcontract expenses, rented equipment, labor burden, which also automatically allocates by way of our payroll module. So the point here is project managers, anybody with transparency to these numbers and want to run these reports, they can just run these on their tablet in the field without logging into the accounting program, but still seeing those same numbers in the way of those live costs that are feeding from that day-to-day accounting entry. All right, so Project HQ, project management, document control, Crew HQ for the scheduling, resource allocation, Executive HQ for the reporting, for the dashboard, the drill downs. Those are the three components. So here's what we do at this point. Anybody that wants to maybe dig a little bit deeper here, get in touch. We'll get you on the calendar. We'll go through a little bit more of a live demo one-on-one just to focus on the areas of concern, the areas of need. That is always an option. So anybody that needs to reach out, we can get you on the calendar, take you through this process. Again, a little bit more detail versus this super general overview. With that in mind, let me pop over and see if there's any kind of questions. I usually don't get a ton of questions with these being, pretty general, pretty broad overviews. Yeah, it looks like we're good on that. Okay, perfect. All right. So again, for those that did sit in, I appreciate it. Appreciate your time here, taking a look. My name's Patrick. My last name's Smith. If you need to reach out, any kind of questions, you can call, you can email. Email address is pds@foundationsoft.com, and I can help as needed. So if there's any kind of questions, I can help. Anybody in our sales department can help as well. And if you do have an interest in scheduling a live demo, you just let us know. We'll work a time, get you on the calendar. All right, so we'll go ahead and wrap it up. Appreciate everybody's time. You guys enjoy the rest of the day, and give me a call if there's any kind of questions. We'll go from there. Thanks again. Take care.